Black Roots began their journey in 1979, and after a few early lineup changes, the band settled down with a core of 5 of the founding members: Errol Brown and Delroy Ogilvie on vocals, Kondwani Ngozi on congas and vocals, Jabulani Ngozi on rhythm guitar, and Cordell Francis on lead guitar. They were joined by Carlton Smith on keyboards and vocals, Trevor Sivright on drums, and Derek King on bass guitar. The band released their first single in 1981, a 4-track demo 12-inch EP on their own label Nubian Records, featuring Bristol Rock, The Father, The System and Tribal War. The label they set up became the backbone of their business, and this setup still remains to the present, a move that was prompted by the lack of interest from the majors. Their first big break on national radio came through BBC Radio 1's legendary DJ John Peel, who picked up on this first release and gave the band their first national exposure, saying, "If anyone tells you that there's no such thing as good British reggae, tell them to listen to Black Roots." When Bristol Rock first hit the streets, it received rave reviews and charted in the reggae and independent charts.
Well, John Peel was one of the first men who started to play Black Roots music.
The media's always important.
He was the first man we did a concert with, you know, and get to establish in England anyway.
And ever since then we start to get work Alan all over Europe, up and down rock with the races, up and down the college circuit, through John Peel. So John Peel we have a lot to thank John Peel for.
In 1983, they released their debut album, simply entitled Black Roots, on Kick Records, and another 2 albums followed: The Frontline in 1984 and In Session in 1985, both on BBC Records and Tapes.
At the time when we were sitting down to write these songs, the things them that was going on within the world, it need for you to come up with a forceful message to let the people draw attention to what's going on. Make them know, say, right now the whole continent need free, the whole black man need to be free. And what's been going on in Northern Ireland with England, tribal war, we don't want that kind of thing there amongst the nation. So that's what we need. At the time we need to fulfill them kind of lyrics there within our songs. The party was a massive big cult in Europe. In Europe. And we tour with them, and you talk about instead of playing at Milkway Club, we're playing in stadiums where you talk about nearly 78,000 people at a time. So obviously it must have done something to us with that kind of crowd there, you know what I mean?
Their first collaboration with Neil Fraser, aka The Mad Professor, was in 1986, and it led to the release of their 4th album, All Day and All Night, on Nubian Records, their own label. And for 4 years, the band used him for all their studio work and live recordings.
Different angles of production, and he had a sound, and he was carrying like #1 tunes at the time. So it was good to link up with him and sort of let him put a sound to what we were creating at the time as well.
By the time the band released their last full studio album in 1990, titled Natural Reaction, the lineup had changed. Delroy Ogilvie, Trevor Sivright and Derek King had left the band. Although this was the last collaboration with a Mad Professor, it was the first time that the band had used digital technology to lay the tracks down. After this, Nubian Records released 3 albums featuring dub mixes by Mad Professor and their new producer, Dub Judah, who worked on the final album release from the band in 1993, entitled With Friends. It featured vocals by BB Seaton, Trevor Dixon, Dub Judah, Mikey Forbes, and a cameo performance by Delroy Ogilvie on some of the band's iconic early tracks. Then, in 1995, everything went quiet. In 2004, French record label Macasound sought out the band, licensed and released 2 albums compiled from the band's early recordings. The first in that year was entitled On the Frontline, and the second in 2007, In Session. On the Frontline was their first release in 10 years, and its success created renewed interest in the band.
It's like we never leave the scene, man. We were always there, you know.
We never gone nowhere. The only thing is we weren't playing live. You know what I mean? But the music was still there amongst the internet. It was there against, and the radio, it was still selling in Europe.
Yeah, man.
But you know what I mean? So we just decided to play live because the Europe thing come about and Europe didn't want to come do a tour.
Even during their period of relative inactivity, Black Roots fans kept their name alive, and the following that they'd built up since the early 80s stayed loyal. This prompted Bristol Archive Records to approach the band and offer to reissue some more of their back catalogue. Firstly, in a series of compilations featuring Bristol reggae sounds, and then they released a compilation of the band's singles entitled The Reggae Singles Anthology on double vinyl, CD and digital download in September of 2011. And then in September 2012 came the release of the first full studio production in over 20 years. On the Ground on Sugar Shack Records, Bristol Archive's sister label.
We get new fans and some of the old ones still about the same way. Because roots following all over is the same. And the fans that we have in Europe is roots followers. And the fans that we have in England is roots followers. So them kind of the same way. Because them look for the same kind of vibes and the same kind of message.
Black Roots have been and are on the road once again, doing selected dates in France, Israel, Italy and the UK. They go back into studio early in 2014 to record brand new material and will be releasing 2 singles backed by their first full production videos and are planning more live work.
Black Roots want to do a worldwide tour to spread the music and the message what we have. We show out because we also don't know, say, what are we now with 50s, late 50s and 60s. We now have another 10 years to do that. So we want to do that now and make the whole world see the full force power what we have within the music.
Good night. God bless.